Hello，各位嘉賓、各位參賽者，歡迎大家咧翻到嚟最後呢一個部分問答環節啦。呢個時候，我哋幾位嘉賓，包括朱家瑩小姐、凌俊傑先生、冼漢迪先生、梁國龍先生，以及我哋嘅主席阿 Sam 咧，都會喺度咧解答大家嘅提問。如果各位參賽者對於佢哋分享嘅故事內容，又或者今次嘅比賽有任何嘅疑問，都歡迎咧可以透過 chat box 發問。亦都咧喺我哋嘅問答環節開始之前，稍微同大家咧簡單介紹一下梁國龍先生。Kingsley 喺生命科學同埋金融業咧擁有超過10年嘅工作經驗，而喺佢嘅職業生涯當中，佢專注於將自己對資本市場嘅經驗以及對 STEM 嘅理解結合，以幫助建立公司。而 Kingsley 亦都喺2017年獲得資本雜誌頒發嘅傑出企業家大獎，以及2020年香港工業總會青年工業家大獎。So to all the guests and contestants, welcome back to the last Q&A section. Now our sharing guests, Hendrick, Norma, Clarence, Kingsley, and the chairman Sam, are all here to answer your questions. If you have any questions regarding to their stories or about the competition, please kindly raise via the chat box. And before we commence the Q&A section, let me briefly introduce Mr. Kingsley Leung to all of you. Mr. Leung has over 10 years' experience in the life science and finance industries. In his career, he focused in combining his experience in capital markets with his understanding of STEM subjects, especially in the AI and biotech fields, to help build the companies. Mr. Leung received the Entrepreneur of the Year award from Capital in 2017, and he is also the recipient of the FHKI Young Industrialist Award in 2020. All right, so now let's move to the Q&A section. So welcome all the guests. For the first questions we collected addressing to Norma, Hendrick, and Sam. So what is the special quality that the contestants impressed you the most? Maybe we invite Norma to go first, please.
Okay, sure. So this part of the sharing is in English?
Yes, please.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, I think for the 4 groups of teams that I've met with, I think they all came very prepared, and I think what is very impressive is that they have very specific questions to ask, and also very honest with their own shortcomings. I think that's really important, and it shows a certain level of maturity as a founder and founding team. So they will ask me, very specific questions in terms of how they can, I guess, fill their current shortage, maybe talent pool, or other kind of market strategy. So I think having that honest understanding of yourself and your team at an early stage is very important, because only you know your own shortcomings that you can quickly fix it. So I think that was very impressive to me.
All right, thank you, Norma. Yes, that's very important to face their shortcomings because they can ask the mentors for their opinions and advice. Thank you. So next one, Hendrick, please. What is the special quality that the contestants impress you the most?
Yes, thank you. I think I have a chance to meet with a lot of young people today, and they impress me the most that not that they are young, energetic, passionate. I think I see a lot of teamwork, and I see the team has complementary skills, and I think that's a very good starting point. And I see some of them are willing to come out from their comfort zone. One of them I see coming from an IT background, but he jumped into a public health industry. So I think this is important to have the confidence to do something bigger and to think big and to try to achieve, to make some changes. And so overall, I think I see very impressive teams today, and I wish them all the best.
Thank you, Hendrick. So next we are inviting Sam. So Sam, hello. What is the special quality that the contestants impress you the most?
Okay, so a little different from Norma and Hendrick. I met with all 11 teams before during the top 23. So from 73 teams to 11 teams, you must be really outstanding and to be able to get into the final 11. From watching the presentations and communicating with the teams, I see that they are really driven, very passionate, very creative, and very confident. And starting a company is not an easy task, and obviously there's a opportunity cost where you need to give up a stable job and stable income to start a business. And in order to do that, you must be really brave. And this is what being really brave is what I think all these young entrepreneurs have.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam. So now we move to the second question. All right. So what questions do the contestants mostly ask? So first, let's invite Norma. So what questions do the contestants mostly ask you?
Most of them tend to ask me when is the perfect time or a good time to launch their product to market. And I find that really interesting because that's actually the question that I want to ask them.
So did you provide any opinion to them?
Usually I just say, the earlier the better, because I think one of the teams were wondering whether they should wait till when their product is more ready or more perfect before they launch. But I think my suggestion is there's never going to be a perfect solution or perfect product, but the earlier you can reach market and get real honest feedback from end consumer, then it's going to give you a lot more time to kind of fine tune and iterate your product. So they keep asking that question kept coming up.
Thank you. So I think maybe our contestants should answer these questions to themselves. So maybe you can get some answers. Thank you. So next one, Hendrick, please, maybe. So what questions do the contestants mostly ask you?
Perhaps I come from an investor angle. So a lot of people ask me when and how to do fundraising. So I see this is a pretty important part of a startup process because you need not only funding from investors, also the investors may give you help in all aspects of your work. And I think a lot of these young entrepreneurs try to understand how it works in Hong Kong, in China, how investors sees startup and when is the right time to do it, what qualities they are looking at, and what kind of sort of interview skills is required. And I see some of these questions coming up in the sessions that I had. Thank you.
Thank you. I think maybe because you are not only the entrepreneur and as well as the investors, so our contestants want to know about this. So same as Hendrick, Kingsley is also an investor. So Kingsley, so what question do the contestants mostly ask you?
Well, I think it's the same what Hendrick said. A lot of them ask me about how do we reach more investors. And I think I shared this with one of the entrepreneurs in one of our sessions. I think it's very helpful from my experience, it helped me a lot. First is, of course, understand, you have to find the right investor. Because there are a lot of different types of, even VCs, within the VC space, there are a lot of different investors. There's some early stage and late stage. So firstly, I think one of the things I've done was to look for the right investor is, for example, subscribe to these VC databases, right? Figure out what type of companies are similar to your company. Take a look at who invested in these companies in the past, right? And ultimately figure out which type of investors are suitable for you, and then particularly even follow them on LinkedIn so that you can kind of stalk them and then figure out what conferences that they go to, and then try to get a meeting with them, a foot in the door, one way or the other, either through email or through the conferences. So that's really helped me with some of my ventures, and just really looking for the right investor, because not all investors they all have different mandates.
Thank you. Yes, that's very important to understand the full background of the investors that you are going to pitch. And regarding to the investors, I would like to also continue to ask Kingsley and Hendrick, any more other recommendations for our contestants to reach the investors? Maybe Kingsley first?
Reach as in,
I mean
it really
pitch,
depends on pitch or reach, because it's a very big difference.
reach maybe
maybe
for
just-
reaching any of the investors, possible potential investors?
I mean, like, I think cold calling doesn't really work that well. I've tried it before, but I think it's just going through these, depending on what type of industry you're in, but there are a lot of investor conferences nowadays. And especially in the COVID situation, there are these virtual conferences very similar to this setup that we're doing right now. And really just as I said, follow them on LinkedIn, the ones that you think would invest in your company, and just figure out where they're going to be.
Thank you. So for Hendrick.
Yeah, I totally agree with Kingsley. I think the company or the founder themselves needs to think of what set of investors suits them, and whether you can pitch them well. So it's a two-way process. And I think a lot of investors are looking for value, right? Are looking for sort of the return on their investment. So this is a pretty much a business-driven decision, right? So I think whether or not you can hit them easily, I think I told some friends today as well. I think you need to address the pain point in the industry very well, and then you answer the questions why you, how you can make a difference, why investing in your company, that means is a good return in the future. So I think one has to answer all these questions very clearly, and then identify a set of investors that can believe in your story, and they have they have the abilities to help you in some ways more than just the money. And I think it is a pretty interactive process, and it may take time, but it may be very worthwhile, because some investors can really help you to go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to the next questions. Next question is delivering to Clarence and Kingsley. What do you think the contestants have to specially pay attention to on their final day? So let's invite Clarence to answer first. Clarence, please.
Well, just relax. You know, I mean, you probably all the contestants would know their business best, and then just relax and give it your best, and basically really grasp the gist of, you know, what really made and differentiate yourself from the other contestants.
Thank you. So next, let's invite Kingsley, please.
I mean, I can echo what Hendrick already mentioned. I think you have to be able to understand the industry pain point, so, and to describe that very well to the investor. And I think one of the things I've when I looked through some of the slides from our contestants, they promise a huge market, but I personally think that it's better to make sure you understand the sub-segment that you're actually trying to hit. For example, if you're in diabetes, you can't say the whole diabetes market is your market, right? You need to understand. And I think that also shows to me as an investor that you don't know your market that well, because you think that is your whole market. So I think in these pitch decks, I would recommend that you kind of look at the market in a more in more detail, and try to figure out which sub-segment that you can really reach. And that would actually show that you know your market very, very well.
Thank you, Kingsley. So as time is running short, so let's answer the last question now. This one is delivering to Kingsley, Hendrick, and Clarence. Can you give some final tips to our contestants, please? So let's invite Kingsley first.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think I already mentioned all of that. It's just just know your market very well, and the sub-markets, and as I said, know your pain points, and just know your investors well, okay? Because if you don't do your homework, you can't convince them.
Thank you. So Hendrick, please.
I put back the cap on the entrepreneur. I have been an entrepreneur for 11 years. I know it is a lot of ups and downs. Be yourself. Be confident. I think there will be numerous challenges ahead. And I would say 99% of the entrepreneur actually fails. So if you can survive, if you can do well, you are really amazing. So I think the contestant knows that they are doing something different, and this is something could be making a lot of interesting milestone in their life. So be confident and try to enjoy the process is what my advice to them.
Thank you, Hendrick. And finally, Clarence, please.
From my experience, helping different entrepreneurs and also being one myself for the past 6 years, and also meeting all the investors, being an entrepreneur is not easy. Definitely not easy, but keep your heads up and be confident and be ready to take as many rejections as possible. Sometimes, believing in yourself is good, but try to think outside of the box and really talk to as many people as possible about what you're trying to do, and really hear other people's advice. Be it investors, be it just a layman, be it your mother, right? Sometimes hearing it from a non-expert might help you, in some way. Yeah, it's fun to be an entrepreneur, and be ready for all the obstacles down the road. Be happy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Clarence. That's true. Don't bound yourself in the comfort zone, but talk to the world and you can gain much more than you can expect. Thank you once again for all the guests for your valuable comments and your insightful sharing. I believe that our contestants must gain a lot today. 而嚟到呢度，今日嘅 YDAHK 香港青年發展聯盟 Youth Novation 香港大專生創業比賽初創輔導及交流日呢已經圓滿結束啦！再一次非常感謝所有嘅嘉賓及導師你哋無私嘅分享，令到我哋嘅參賽者呢都必定係獲益良多，可以好好咁樣準備佢哋嘅決賽日啦！各位參賽者非常之期待你哋決賽日嘅表現，亦都再一次多謝大家嘅出席。But this time, YDAHK Youth Novation 2020 Mentorship and Networking Day has been successfully concluded. Thank you once again for your participation today. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all the guests and mentors for your selfless sharing, which benefited all the contestants a lot. We all look forward to the amazing performance by the contestants on the final day. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend ahead and see you all there. Thank you. Goodbye.